What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. My name is Miranda Marie. Today I am going to do my reading wrap up for the month of May. I am in a different location right now. I am actually in my car. For some of you who may not know, I am a mom of two, and I just picked up my husband on his lunch break from work to bring my oldest to get a haircut, and this is the only time I have to film. So mom life, that's just how things are. If you hear cars, it's because I'm literally parked right off of the freeway. But a part of this channel and a part of my journey here, sharing my love for reading with you guys, is being real with you guys with balancing reading and mom life. So this is just the reality of that. So these are all the books that I read in the month of May. I read 5 books in total. I'm going to go over all of them with you guys, my thoughts and my ratings. Starting off with the first book I read in the month of May. This was actually my book club's pick for last month, and it was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This was my second Ali Hazelwood book. My first book that I read from Ali Hazelwood was Check and Mate, which I didn't know at the time of buying it and starting to read it that one was a YA book. I believe it was her first YA book that she published. I loved Check and Mate, but this one I didn't really connect with the characters as much as I did connect with the characters from Check and Mate. So overall, I rated Love Theoretically a 2 out of 5 stars. Most of my girlfriends, actually all of my girlfriends from my book club, rated it a 3, but I was the only 2-star. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad writing. I enjoyed it. It was funny. It was spicy. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 on the spiciness scale. If you aren't familiar with Ali Hazelwood and her writing, most of her books have people who are in like the STEM field. So this book is about Elsie and Jack. They're both physicists. Elsie is a theoretical physicist who is applying for a professor job at a really, really good university, because the job that she has right now doesn't really pay much. So to make money on the side, she basically uses this app where she goes and poses as your fake girlfriend if you need a fake girlfriend for an event or like a wedding or a family event or something like that. She never fake dates a guy more than once, except for Greg, who is her only regular client, and that is where she meets Jack, who is a experimental physicist who is Greg's protective older brother. I think he's the older brother. He acts like an older brother because he's very protective over Greg. Elsie and Jack always seem to be thrown together in these situations, always put together, always left alone, and they have this extremely magnetic pull with one another. And she runs into him again on her job interview, where he's actually one of the professors that has to vet her and approve her for this job. Since they're two different types of physicists, one's an experimental and one's a theoretical physicist, they're kind of academic workplace rivals to lovers, I would say. Forced proximity, because he has to vet her for this job. I rated it a 2 out of 5 stars. It wasn't bad, like I said. I just couldn't really connect with these characters. I would definitely pick up another Ali Hazelwood book, even though I rated it a 2 out of 5 stars. But that was my first read for the month of May. This was my second book for the month of May, and it's Daisy Hates the Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. Guys, this is probably one of my top 3 favorite books of all time. I love Jessa Hastings. I love the way that she writes her characters, how deep each character is, and I just love it. This was my favorite book from the entire Magnolia Park's Daisy Hates series. This is the 4th book. I just love Julian. Julian has my heart completely. I can't really go too much into detail about the background and what happened in this book, because like I said, this is the 4th book in the series, and I don't want to ruin it if you're barely starting the series out or plan on starting the series out. But I will tell you one thing: start the series. Start it. You will eat it up. You will cry real tears. You'll get so emotionally invested in these characters and in their lives. The way that she writes these characters, the way that they describe each other. For example, Julian is really into art. I guess you can say he's an art stealer, as Magnolia likes to say. And the way that he describes Magnolia, how he sees her, is so poetic, so artistic. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. love this book so much. So the way that Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates book series goes is the first book is Magnolia Parks, which follows Magnolia and BJ and their group of friends, but it's only in Magnolia and BJ's point of view. The second book is Daisy Hates, which will be in the point of view of Daisy, Christian, and Julian. Christian is in BJ and Magnolia's group of friends, but the Daisy Hates follows Daisy and in her life, but it follows the same timeline. So let's just say Magnolia Parks is from January till March. Daisy Hates will follow that same timeline of January through March, but following Daisy, Christian, and Julian. I hope that's not too confusing for you guys, but I love this book. Rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. We'll read it again, definitely. I love Julian so much. So obviously I had to follow that up with the 5th book in the Magnolia Parks Daisy Hates universe, which is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. This is the last book that will be in the Magnolia Parks side of this universe. There will be no more Magnolia Parks books. This is the last one, but look at this thing, guys. This was a big old book. This was the biggest and longest book in the whole entire series at 700 pages. It's a little over 700 pages. This was so good. I loved reading the character development of BJ. He just had the best redemption story possible. Sometimes I read an author and their version of a redemption story for one of their characters that has done just horribly wrong in the beginning of their series, and I can't really give them that redemption shot. But BJ just had such a big character development in this series. He became such an amazing man, and he was willing and able to look back on his past mistakes and say, I'm not making excuses. I'm sorry that I did it. I won't do it again, and I'll continue to prove to you that I won't do it again. And I loved that for him, and I also love that for Magnolia. Jessa Hastings in this book made it blatantly clear for the readers who were sort of on the fence of Magnolia of, oh, she's just like a bratty, like, rich girl. Jessa Hastings heard you guys, and she made it blatantly obvious how deep Magnolia is and how many issues she faces on a day-to-day basis, not just within herself, but also with the people around her, like that random paparazzi guy that was just after her and after her. I can't wait to read the next Daisy Hates book and to see what the hell is really going on with that one paparazzi guy from this book. Like, if you know, you know. Again, I can't say too much about this storyline other than talk about their character development. Again, the writing was beautiful because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but this is the last book following Magnolia and BJ, and it was such an honor to go on this journey with them. I really feel like these are real life people in my life, like really close friends of mine, and I got to see them through the end, and it was so good. Loved their journey. I love Magnolia and BJ together. I know that they're written in the stars, but I would just love to see maybe in a different timeline, somewhere in a different dimension. Wish I could see how Magnolia and Julian would have played out. Loved this book. I also rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. I love Jessa Hastings, and I can't wait to read the new Daisy Hates books whenever they do come out. There is going to be, I think Jessa Hastings has said, 2 more Daisy Hates books, and I cannot wait for those. I cried real tears with this book. Also, these are the UK versions of the book, so they're a different cover. I will input what the US covers look like just in case you go to Barnes & Nobles and you can't find these based on the covers. This is what they look like in the US. You can order these online. I just prefer these covers. They have so much details, like all of these little tattoos. The pancakes get me. Titanic, no guns at the dinner table. And then obviously this is Magnolia Parks and BJ because he says he's the wolf. This is literally like my entire personality. When I'm reading Magnolia Parks or Daisy Hates, that's all there is to me. There's nothing else, just these books in my brain. So the next book that I read was on my Kindle. It is available on KU, and it was a book that was on my TBR forever, which is A Love Letter to Whiskey. The way that I ate this book up is insane. I think I read it in 2 days. I was partially confused, but it's 100% my fault because I didn't know that A Love Letter to Whiskey, the 5-year anniversary release, are 2 different books, because the 5-year anniversary that the author came out with, obviously for the 5-year anniversary, has a double POV added at the end of it that wasn't released with the original book. So I got to the end of it and I was like, why does my Kindle still telling me I have 300 pages left to read? Then I started reading it. I'm like, oh, the author added Jamie's POV to this 5th year anniversary re-release. So A Love Letter to Whiskey follows Bea and Jamie, who meet because they run into each other on a running trail when they're in high school, like literally physically collide with each other. Bea and her best friend are going on a jog and Bea runs into Jamie. He helps her up. Bea is automatically smitten with Jamie because he's just like this hot stud guy. But Jamie falls for Bea's best friend, who he dates up until he leaves for college. It just follows them on this 10-year relationship that they have that's sort of toxic. It's very tumultuous. It's very up and down. They go years without speaking to each other because it's always the right person, wrong time type of vibe with them. They have this crazy magnetic pull to each other that keeps them tied together. They always find their way back to each other, but every time they try to really be with one another, something happens. One or the other always seems to be in a relationship at the time, and then that makes them feel guilty, and then that makes them think that they're doing something wrong and that their love is not worth it. Bea has a lot of issues in her mind from this broken family dynamic that she comes from. I always forget to preface this, but always look up the trigger warnings for every book that I talk about on this channel. This one specifically has a lot of really triggering factors. The reason why it's called Love Letter to Whiskey is basically because she nicknames Jamie Whiskey because the color of his eyes and the color of his hair resembles whiskey, and she views Jamie sort of as her vice because she thinks it's something that she shouldn't do. Like, you were my best friend's boyfriend. I shouldn't be in love with you. I shouldn't think about you this way. Again, I'm gonna apologize for the noise because everyone just seems to be flooring their vehicles right now. It just follows Bea and Jamie on this tumultuous up and down roller coaster relationship. And at the end, she says, F it, I need to tell him how I feel. So she lets out this book, which is the book that you are reading, and she labels it A Love Letter to Whiskey. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I might go back later on and read Jamie's POV, but I just didn't want to read it in that moment, to be completely honest. I rated it a 4 out of 5. I love the similes, I love the metaphors, I love the connection with Jamie and her love for Jamie and their rocky relationship to whiskey and a person's pull and addiction to whiskey or to alcohol. I really loved it. I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. The last book that I read for the month of May was The Inheritance Games. If you guys watched my book haul last video, this is one of the books that I talked about. This one has been on my TBR for a long time as well. I loved this book. It was so good. This is a YA thriller, suspense, romance-ish type of book. I read it in less than 24 hours. So basically, this book is about a 17-year-old girl who doesn't come from the best of places financially. Her mom recently passed away and her dad is nowhere really to be found. She lives with her sister, who is in an off and on again relationship with a really, he hasn't been aggressive towards her, but he is a very aggressive person, and it's a very toxic relationship. So Avery, the 17-year-old girl, she doesn't approve of it. Sometimes she just sleeps and lives in her car. She works at a diner to earn extra money. She's very smart, until one day a random person that she's never met shows up at her school and tells her she needs to be in Texas for the reading of his grandfather's will, who she has never even met either. He turned out to be a billionaire who leaves her all of his money, all of his estates, everything, and disinherits his entire family to give her everything. Mind you, she's never met this man. She's never met anyone there. The only stipulation in the will says that she needs to stay in Hawthorne House with the rest of the people that have just been disinherited. She needs to live with all the people that didn't get any money, but she did, for 1 year, or she won't be able to get the money. But this house is full of rhymes and riddles and secret passageways that she needs to figure out basically why this man left her this money. He leaves everyone a envelope with a secret message, and they try to work together to figure out what the heck this man was up to, because this man was infamous for his rhymes and his riddles. I will definitely be reading more on this series. I really enjoy this book. Again, I read it in less than 24 hours. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. So that wraps up everything. Those are all the books that I read in the month of May. I will have all my social medias linked in the description box below. Goodreads, my Instagram, everywhere else you can find me on social media. If you guys want to follow me on there, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I will be uploading, hopefully, new videos every single Friday. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.